Okay, today we're going to install a cold air intake. As you can see here from D1 Off-Road. We're going to do this in kind of different stages. Point out a couple other things I've already done. Number one, I added an oil catch to the back here. Secondly, I've installed the extended struts so you can tell the hood opens up much further, giving room to work. And thirdly, I installed a light on the hood. It's triggered by a mercury switch, tilt switch, which is located underneath the hood blanket. And it is turn off switch here as well for extended time the hood's open. But that does add to the light to work in this area. So first thing I'm going to do is start seeing about removing the stock OEM part, and then we'll begin installing the next one. Okay, I've loosened the bands and I've removed the mass airflow sensor, which is going to have to go on the new one. So the next thing I'm going to do is loosen those two bolts and begin taking the airflow intake off. Alright, getting the air box out. There's a screw down here, which was a pain trying to get to, been torqued down. There's nowhere to get leverage. But then I finally figured out it's a rubber grommet, and I simply pulled it up over the bolt. So then we'll worry about the bolt after that. So now we've got the box out, and we're going to get ready to look at the installation. It appears that's the way it was designed. This is where the bolts are. As you can see, they're made so that you can lift the whole thing off instead of trying to loosen the bolts. So once you have that knowledge, it's really easy to take out. Now whether I'll need that with the new one, I haven't gone that far yet. Anyways, I'm going to start unpacking the new stuff and we'll see where we go. Alright, here's the box with all the goodies. Came from Z1. I have to admit, I've gotten good service from Z1. This shipment I ordered on Thursday and I got it Saturday. Now, I do live in the same state as Z1, so that does cut down on shipping. But I've been very pleased. So now I'm going to unpack all this and see what we've got. Alright, forgive the fan, but it is 80 degrees outside and it's only 8 a.m. so it does stay cool. Anyways, new air box, connecting tube, filter, hardware, mounting hardware, seal, and so forth. I notice this has the same type of mounting on the bottom as the OEM did, so that makes things a little easier. And then the mass air sensor, the gasket off of that has to be transferred over to this as well. So we shall get started. Alright, I need to mount the grommet for the air box into the firewall there, or not the firewall, fender wall. There's a picture of what it looks like. It looks like it'd be fairly easy to install, except for this intake ring that goes on the outside. And to get to that, it says you have to remove the fender liner. So I'm going to do that. Seems like a lot of work for just that, but I'm going to play the game and follow the rules. Alright, seems like a lot of work for this one little piece. You have to pull the fender down, and then you can see up there where some of the parts are going to have to go. So let me get it mounted in. We'll go from there. Okay, I've got that in. Just fits around the lip there. And this is the part we're going to have to put in underneath. Okay, sort of a problem. This, I can put this in and hold the phone at the same time. Put it down for a second. This fits into this, okay? Now I put the rubber grommet in first and then try to push this in, but I simply push the rubber grommet out the other end. So what I'm going to do now is put this in here and then try to feed it from the other side. So we shall see if that works better. Okay, that definitely worked better and it's very easy to do. If you had another person, you could probably do it the other way. But just me, myself, and I. And there's how it looks from the other end. You can see that. There somehow seems to be a better way to do that. Just that one little piece. But anyways, we will proceed onward. All right, finally got the air box in. And this to me was the biggest pain of this whole project so far. You can see the screws lined up through the holes and the grommets in the bottom. But here was the problem because you push in against this, it keeps trying to push this rubber through. So I have to have one hand from the other side pushing against it when I installed it. Like I said, 2 sets of hands would probably make it a lot easier. I guess there's no other easy way to do it, but that's just, the pain was getting this all lined up over here and from the other side. So, all right, got the tubing put together. And you see the filter fits in there, and the other end fits in there. And then we have the hose to attach here. So we will go ahead and do that. All right, this has to go in here, and then that is attached there. Of course, you get that to attach there, that's got to be pushed in a ways. And when I do that, that's when that gasket pops out. So I'm going to take a little grease lubricant and put it around that edge and see if it'll slide in there easier. Okay, this is what I'm running into. If I get this to line up, it pushes that down. It's as if this tube is too long. The question is, what am I going to do about it? Put the stock back on, send this back, or shorten the tube slightly. Decisions. All right, so apparently my patience is going to outweigh my better judgment because I'm not packing this up, sending it back. Put the old one back on. I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch off of this. See if that make a better fit. Okay, we are getting there. I took off approximately 1/2 inch of plastic off this tube to get us to line up the way at least I think it should. The biggest aggravation I'm having is with these rubber grommets popping out. You put any kind of pressure on, like trying to push this tube in, and it pushes this whole thing out. Same thing occurred back here. So I shortened it, and as you can see, it makes a good secure fit. You can see from both sides that seemed to make it work. Am I doing something wrong? Is there something that's a little more of a variable with the 22 model? I don't know. I will pass this on to Z1 and see what they say. But for now, I think this is all going to work. So I'm going to try to finish it up. All right, we have finished installing the Z1 cold air intake with a few issues that we will finish up with here. However, I think I've resolved most of the issues to my satisfaction. Maybe have an explanation why it wasn't as great a fit as I thought it was going to be. The problem I had was with this tube, it was basically too long. I shortened it by about a ½ inch. But what was happening, this sits down in here. But this was not lining up here. So trying to push this over to get this to line up would shove that through the gasket. I couldn't try to find out a way to make it work properly. So basically I took a ½ inch off the tube, and now it's almost like perfect fit. The seals around here are good. The other thing I had a little issue with, although, you know, I guess I could have chosen not to have done it, is you have to take the wheel well cover off, which in my case I also took the wheel off to get to the wheel well cover, in order to put a plastic piece on the back side of this inside the fender. It's almost so you can see it through there, but no. Which took me a good 30-45 minutes to do all that for that one little piece. And I debated afterwards as to whether it was actually necessary. The other thing I had issue with is this does not fit very well into this rubber grommet that goes through the wheel well. The problem being, it wants to pop out. This is held in the bottom by 2 screws, and some people may think the screws have to come out. No, they're mounted on rubber grommets. Basically pry the air box up, make the screws in the thing, and then this comes with 2 rubber grommets to reverse the process. So, 2 modifications. One is I reduced this by ½ inch. 2, you can see I put a band around the gasket on this end to keep this from popping out. Now, to make sure it wasn't just me, I went online and found another video of a guy installing one of these on a 2022 Frontier, and he ran into the same problems. The biggest problem he had was he couldn't figure out to go online to look at the instructions for how to assemble and mount all this. So besides trying to wing it, he was running into basically the same problem I was with this section lining up properly. I don't know how many other people out there have tried to put one of these on the 2022 so far. I think I've seen one online where a gentleman said he did that, and I found this other video. I think part of the problem is, if you look on the instruction sheets, now this I printed out, because that guy said he couldn't find his, but I printed this out, but you notice this fits several models of Nissan. It says 2005 through 2021, and then 2022. Now 2021 had the 3.8 liter same engine as this, and what I'm guessing is, I don't have one to compare to, so I can't tell you for sure, but I'm guessing because it's the same engine, the same engine layout, it's the same thing that's been used in the past. But I think because of the different body style on the new 22s, there's a little bit of a difference that they're not taking into account. Now, you may get one of the Z1 factory guys come down here and, you know, voila, presto, put it in, no problems. Or maybe it's just me. But obviously at least one other person I've noted had the same kind of issues. So I will kind of pass that on to Z1 in this video for what it's worth to them. The only other thing I would mention, this really has nothing to do with the air intake, but when you remove the factory breather, which has the big baffle and the word Nissan on top of it, right there, you got this big empty spot which is kind of naked and bare. I'd like to figure out something to go there to, you know, for aesthetics if nothing else. Just me. but it doesn't have anything to do with the air intake, and it doesn't have anything to do with the function. I have driven this down the road. It does feel better performance-wise. It's got a nice sound to it. So overall, I'm pleased. I guess I could have complained to them and sent it back and stuck the old one back on, but you know, I'm hard-headed. I wanted it, and I wanted it to fit, so I did what needed to be done. And that is the end of this. All right, just a postscript to the installation of the Z1 Airbox cold air intake. Previous videos I had commented about this gap between the tube and the engine cover. So I decided to do something about it. This part here is part of the OEM intake, and basically I cut it off, and you can see I painted the Nissan logo red to match the truck, and bolted this on to take care of that void space in between. Not perfect, but I think it looks decent, better than that big empty gap with everything showing. So thought I would just wasn't easy to do. I'm not sure I recommend everybody to do it, but works for me. All right, one final comment as concerns the fitting issues I had. I did contact Z1, explain to them what I did and what I found. Their explanation was I got a cool air kit for a D40, which is the second generation Frontiers, rather than the D41, which is what the 22 is, and that's why there was a difference in the pipe. I could not find any distinguishing part numbers between the two, other than when you go online, one says it's for 2005 through 2019, the other says it's for 2022. So that is their explanation on this, and no reason to doubt them. So just be sure if you order this, you get the one specific for your particular model, and I would kind of confirm that when you order it to be on the safe side. Other than that, I'm happy, and I think you will be too.